All right. Welcome to Garden of the Spirit of class studying apples from the orchard for the second time. Beginning after Pesach 2014, this class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel, blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contain selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal or Vezot Gloria based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. We are on page 1066. We have 5 pages left to finish the book for the second time. Oh, we need to get that other thing. Okay, here we go. The bracha. The bracha of Moshe to the tribe of God describes divine energy as it brings subsistence from the highest level to the lowest level. It's described in terms of the human body. From the brain, life-giving force descends to the male reproductives, where it develops into seed and is conveyed through the male organ into the female. From the seed, another full human develops, evidence that the seed contains elements from the entire body of the parent, including the mind. If the mind was not included, then the child would be born without a mind. In Kabbalistic imagery, the seed begins in the mind. The Arizal will quote other verses from Moshe's brachos to show these ideas. The mind, the seed, chesed, the sphere of chesed, the sphere of attraction that induces the seed to descend, the male reproductive organ, and the female, as we've seen till now. Okay, we're on 1066. Alan, thus the verse continues.
Thus the verse continues, and rips off the arm together with the skull. The word for arm, zeroah, can be viewed as the word for seed, zera, plus the letter vav. Zeroah, zayin resh vav ayin, zera, zayin resh ayin.
Okay, thanks. I was supposed to read 23 first. In the bracha to God, Moshe just, huh?
Okay.
Yeah, my mistake. In the bracha to God, Moshe describes God's might in battle. He rips an arm as well as the top of a head. The word for arm, zroa, is similar to the word for seed, zera, with the addition of a vav. Okay. The right arm is associated with the first svira of emotion.
What's happening? He has the same.
Chesed, benevolence. In this interpretation, zroa, chesed, attraction, rips or grabs the zera, the seed, for yesod. Yeah, zroa, the right arm, is chesed. And this rips and grabs the zera, seed, for yesod, from kadkod, the top of a head, the highest levels of chachma and intellect. Okay, he says plus the letter vav. He doesn't say it here. I just realized. He says that zeroa is zera plus the letter vav. The letter vav is connected with the 6 emotions, ze'er anpin, the first of which is chesed. That's how chesed gets in here. Earlier in the chapter, we spoke about the man. No, actually, Alan, go ahead.
This means that Yesod tears away its seed by means of the right arm, that is chesed. In this interpretation, the word arm, zeroah, does double duty, indicating what Yesod grabs, its seed, as well as what it uses to grab it, chesed.
Go ahead.
It grabs from the skull, that is the supernal mind.
Okay.
Presumably, this refers...
Presumably, I'm sorry.
Presumably, this refers to mocha stmicha, the chachma of Arachanpin.
So the highest thing that we find that is called chachma. Now, earlier in the chapter, we spoke about the man that fell from heaven every day in the desert. It's described as Zera Gad Lavan, white coriander seed. This is an allusion to the male seed, as the word for Gad, coriander, is similar to Gid, the male organ. And we talked about this in the last class, the first half of the chapter. It teaches that the mun symbolized the flow of divine energy into the world, and actually it induces the flow. It helps cause the flow as well. Go ahead, Ellen.
What it grabs is the white coriander seed. In this imagery, then, Yesod utilizes chesed to elicit the flow of seed from its spiritual source, the superconscious sphera of Keser, indicated anatomically by the skull. Psychologically, this would mean that in order for Yesod, the sexual drive to truly be potent, it must be informed by chesed, love.
Okay, just like in real life, that it's love and chesed, benevolence giving, that helps the seed be transmitted. 25. Now the flow of divine energy originates in the highest levels of creation, as Moshe stated in the bracha that we just read, as well as the top of the head. Tehillim chapter 89 begins Maskil le'esan azrachi, which can be translated an intellectual composition by Eitan, the Ezrachite. Maskil can also mean something that procures intellect, not that produces it, but something that gets it. The word Eitan refers to something that is immutable. It is, you can't move it because it's solid and it's been there for a while. Now, Eitan also contains the 4 letters that are used as prefixes to a verb to indicate the future tense. Okay, so these 4 letters, Aleph, Yod, Tav, Nun, if we have one of them in front of a verb, it means either I will, he will, you will, we will, they will. So these are the 4 letters that are used for future tense. And the next word, Ezrachi, can mean I will shine. Here it would mean somebody from Ezrach. I don't know if there's a place called Ezrach, but if you take the word by itself, if you look at it as a verb, then Ezrach would mean I will shine. And in this context, we're saying the phrase can mean that maskil, what procures intellect? Yesod. Yesod procures intellect from the highest sources, from the Asan, that's immutable, where divine energy is produced, like in the word, I will shine, I will produce energy. This occurs through chesed, benevolence. Benevo. Okay. Which is synonymous with love and attraction. In terms of the human psyche, the highest levels of intellect might be where creativity or new ideas are born. And in the reproductive system, it indicates that procreation begins with chesed, love, inducing the highest levels of intellect into the seed from which babies are born. Okay, Alan, bottom of 1066, this is the meaning.
This is the meaning of the words, together with the skull, for Yesod, which is called the male reproductive organ, Gid, which in turn is the maskil for Eitan the Ezrachite, grabs from the supernal mind via the states of chesed. The term maskil means a source of intellect, but here we better translate it as a procurer of intellect. Yesod in this imagery ascends into the source of intellect in order to produce or grab a drop of seminal intellect from the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is indicated by the words Eitan the Ezrahite. The letters that spell Eitan, Aleph, Yud, Vav, Nun, are the four letters used as prefixes in Hebrew verbs to indicate the future tense. Similarly, the word for Ezrahite, Ezrahi, means the one who says, I in the future will shine. Kra, Ezra. The whole locution, Eitan the Ezrahite, thus means someone or something that is poised to shine or reveal itself at some future time. It thus refers to the superconscious intellect, the vast reservoir of ideas in our souls that is ready at any time to produce flashes of conscious insight and means of understanding. One of the ways it is aroused to do so when Yesod, informed by love, elicits some of its infinite enlightenment. This can happen in the sexual act per se, the new insight being a flow of male seed and a new idea or person. The husband is inspired by love for his wife to bring together with her into the world. Or it can happen in a more general sense in the intellectual act of giving birth to a new insight into reality as the desire for propagating divine consciousness in the world, motivated by love for the world, elicits the solution to some aspect of the world's problematic nature from the supernal mind.
Okay, thanks. Now, the Talmud speaks metaphorically of millstones in heaven that grind mun for the righteous. The Torah describes the mun, the people would stroll and gather it and grind it in a mill or pound it in a mortar. This idea of being ground can also refer to the production of male seed. I think. Okay, Jim, can you continue, please? Middle of 1067.
This new seed is then ground finely. This is the grinding of the manna, which was like the white coriander seed as it descends from the skull. The phrase ground finely, katishin, is taken from a liturgical poem authorized by Arizal to be sung at the Friday night meal. The standard translation of the fourth stanza is, her husband embraces her. Through this gathering which brings her joy, the forces of evil will be utterly crushed. But the last phrase can also mean the seed elicited from the supernal mind will be ground finely. The idea of grinding the seed refers to transforming it from a spiritual influx to a physical flow of male seed or into a conscious flow of rational insight. In the Talmud, we are told there are 7 heavens. The third is called Shekakim, which means finely ground, for it is the one in which millstones stand and grind manna for the righteous, as it is written. He commanded the Shekakim above and opened the doors of heaven, and he caused manna to rain upon them for food. As we have seen, how the Arizal interprets the phrase, like the white coriander seed, which refers to manna to mean male reproductive seed, we may understand that manna also alludes to male reproductive seed. Both manna and the seed have to be ground to be prepared for revelation in this world.
Okay. 27, it's then ground fine. The word for fine is dak. If it is very fine, we say dak, dak. And this is the same letters as kod, which we said before in the bracha to God is v'taraf zroa av kod. He rips the arm with the top of the head. In other words, what's taken from the top of the head is ground so that it could be transmitted to nukva. And the Torah says, dak kakfor al haaretz. Which ground like frost on the ground. And the ground is an allusion to Malchus and Nukva. The Torah is describing one that is ground, like frost on the ground. And when we say the ground, that's an allusion to Malchut and Nukva. That's where Yesod is sending the seed or this divine energy. Go ahead.
It is made very fine in order to be transferred to his nukva. The phrase very fine, duck, is a play on the word for skull in this verse, kad code, formed by permuting its letters, kad code, kaf, dalid, kuf, dalid, doc, dalid, kuf, dalid, kuf.
Go ahead.
This idea is also alluded to in the phrase fine as frost on the ground. This phrase is taken from a biblical passage describing the manna, from which the phrase like the white coriander seed is also taken. Interestingly, the word fine, doc, appears twice in this verse, perhaps alluding to the very fine grounding, should be grinding, mentioned above.
Okay. 28. Now, the word for like frost can also be scrambled to read like crumbled or like ground. Kakfor is like frost. Kifaruch means like crumbled. It needs to be crumbled or ground so that it can be transmitted to Nukva on the ground. The Torah says that it was on the ground. And by the way, there's no connection between ground, which means to grind, and ground meaning soil. It just happens to be that both in English, they're both the same word. But in the Hebrew, there's no connection between them.
The word for as frost, kakafor, can also be permuted to spell as crumbled, kaparach.
Go ahead.
This is done so it can be placed on the ground, that is, into nukva. The word for ground, eretz, is an appellation of malchus, and thus the phrase alludes to the process of the seminal seed of manna being ground for transference into malchus.
Okay, thanks. The bracha to God continues. Vayar Reshis Lo. He saw the beginning for himself. The beginning refers to the highest part of intellect that's taken by Yesod, the interface between male and female. The pasuk in Tilm says, Reshis Chachma, the beginning of wisdom. We see from that wisdom is the beginning. Now, when we say beginning, we're referring to wisdom. Go ahead, Jim.
The next verse continues, he saw the beginning for himself. This means that Yesod sees that the flow of seed originates in the beginning of wisdom, and the flow of holiness and light comes to him from there. The phrase, beginning of wisdom, means the superconscious source of wisdom, that is, the Chachma of Arak Ampin.
Okay, next, when the Torah describes the bracha continues, Kisham Chelkas Mechalkek Safun. For there is the hidden plot of the lawgiver. Plot as in a cemetery plot. The word for lawgiver can also mean someone who distributes portions, which is the function of Yesod. Go ahead.
This is alluded to in the continuation of the verse, for there the portion of the lawgiver is hidden. Lawgiver refers to Yesod. The word for...
I'm sorry. Go ahead. The word for lawgiver.
The word for lawgiver, mechokik, can also be interpreted to mean one who distributes portions. The word chok can mean both law and measured portion. Thus, Yesod is called mechokik because it distributes the seminal seed to Malchus.
Okay, 31. Yesod then transmits the seed to the womb of Nukva, and the word rechem, womb, has the same gematria as mechokek, both equal 248.
Yesod transmits the seed to the womb of Nukva. This is alluded to by the fact that the numerical value of the word for womb, the rechem, is the same as that of the word for lawgiver, mechokek. Rechem, reish chet bem, 200 plus 8 plus 40, 248. Mechokek bem chet kuf, kuf, 40 plus 8 plus 100 plus 100, 248.
All right. Now, who cares if rechem and mechalkek have the same gematria? When the Torah describes how Chava was created, it says, therefore, a man will leave his father and mother, cleave to his wife, and they will become one flesh. So they become one flesh when they produce a child. It seems that this is what is implied by mechalkek, distributor of portions, and rechamum having the same gematria, that they now become one. Okay, page 1069.
There they become one flesh. Therefore, a man will forsake his father and his mother and cling to his wife, and they will become one flesh. According to the sages, becoming one flesh means producing a child together.
Okay, thank you, Jim. 33. Earlier we quoted the bracha that read, for there is the hidden plot of the lawgiver. That meant that Moshe is buried there. The word for hidden is safun. It's usually spelled with a tzadi, tsafon, like we have at the Seder on Pesach. Here it's spelled with a samach. The letter samach indicates chachma, and they do not explain why. Yesod takes from chachma and distributes to nukva. This is implied by a pasuk in Mishlei. There is someone who distributes and receives more. We actually had this back, I think, on page 949 or something. It looked familiar, and I looked in the index. The simple meaning is if you give tzedakah, you'll be rewarded with even more than you started with. In this case, it means Yesod gives to Malchus. So you might think it's losing. It receives much higher, much more than what it gives. It receives from Chachma. And the bracha to God, for there the plot of the lawgiver is hidden, means Yesod, the lawgiver, receives from Chachma, which is so distant, it is hidden. Avigail would like to continue.
The word for hidden, safun, is written with a samak. The more common form is tsafun, written with a sadik. This
Okay,
is
34. 34. I'm sorry, you go ahead. I already explained it.
Apologies, just as I was about to get on, I got a call and I had to take it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Is it the Pentagon?
Close.
Huh?
White House. This is because Yesod, the lawgiver, is augmented from the location of the intellect, i.e., the head, as mentioned above, this being the mystical meaning of the phrase, there is one who expends his wealth yet accrues more. The letter Samak indicates Chachma, and that is its portion. The phrase, he saw the beginning for himself, for there the portion of the lawgiver is hidden, thus means Yesod saw that the seed it wished to elicit comes from the Chachma of Arik Anpin, for that is where the Chachma it seeks is located.
Okay, 34. Moshe continues the bracha Vayese Rashayam. He came at the heads of the people. The heads of the people refers to our forefathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov refer to Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes, respectively. So it's the spheres of emotion, these 6 spheres of emotion, that bring the seed from intellect to Yesod. As we said before, it takes the Chesed, love, loving kindness, to make this flow happen from the intellect down to the Yesod and into Malchus. Okay, go ahead.
From there, he went out as the heads of the people. This refers to Chesed Gevura Teferes, or Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, for through them the divine beneficence flows to the righteous one, Yesod. The phrase, the heads of the people, can allude to the patriarchs, who in turn signify the three main sephiros of the emotions, Hesed, Gevura, Teferes. The flow of seminal inspiration proceeds downward from the superconscious and conscious intellect through the emotions into Yesod.
Okay, 35. Now we find these allusions in the brachos from Yaakov to Yosef as well. Yaakov said his bow rested in strength, and the hands of his arms were spread forth. The bow refers to the male organ. We again have the word zroa, arm, as before, and etan, or ason, immutable, which, as we said before, also refers to the flow of seed. Okay, go ahead.
This is the mystical meaning of the verse. His bow dwelt in strength, and the hands of his arms were spread forth. The bow here refers to Yesod, the male procreative organ, which shoots its arrows of seed into its target, the female. The word for in strength is in etyon, which, as we have seen, refers to the superconscious intellect. The hands of his arms refer to the sephirot of Hesed, Gevurah, Teferes, which channel the flow from the superconscious intellect and conscious intellect through themselves into Yesod.
Go ahead.
There is another mystical interpretation of this verse, but this is not the place to discuss it.
Okay, thank you. 36. The bracha continues, Tzidkas Hashem asa. He performed the righteousness of Hashem. The Hebrew words for righteousness and charity are very similar, tzedek and tzedakah. Righteousness may be offered to someone who is deserving. Charity is even to someone who does not deserve it. Yesod is the interface for Zerampin to interact with Malchus. We're talking here about a very ideal manner of interaction, as we've discussed many times in the course of this book. The Arizal uses a beautiful expression. A tzaddik interacts with a tzaddik, and tzedek, meaning righteousness, becomes tzedakah, charity. The justice of Malchus, in other words, what it means is that the justice of Malchus, and we said that Malchus is, if you want to use the word intolerant, strict justice, and it's tempered by interaction with Ze'er Anpin. The tzaddik interacts with tzaddik, Ze'er Anpin interacts with Malchus. And then things are better. And we'll explain in the last paragraph. Go ahead.
This is the meaning of the verse's continuation. He performed the charity of God. Through channeling the flow this way, the righteous tzaddik can couple with righteousness, tzedek, and righteousness can become charity, tzedakah. The phrase, he performed the righteousness of God, can be read, he made or produced the charity of God, meaning that by coupling Zer Anpin with Nukva, Yesod produces the charity of God. What this means is that Nukva by itself personifies pure Malchus, in other words, God's rule of law and order in the world. In this prenuptial state, it is called righteousness, tzedek. The propensity to adhere and apply the strict letter of the law. As we have seen, the female drive is to concretize God's kingdom on earth. When Nukva couples with Zer Anpin, however, the female drive to concretize God's kingdom on earth is blended with the male drive toward abstract divinity, through which the innate female strictness is mollified or sweetened in the idiom of the Kabbalah. Thus, strict righteousness is transformed into charity, or concern with the welfare of reality, as well as with its ultimate rectification. As we have seen previously, this is because Yesod carries within it the state of Hesed that Malchus initially lacks.
Okay. Now, 37. The end of Moshe's bracha to God says, his judgments with Israel. A pasuk in Tehillim says, Tzedek umishpat mechon kisecha. Chesed ve'emes yikadmu fanecha. Righteousness and judgment are the foundation of your throne, but loving kindness and truth greet you first. When judgment is tempered with loving kindness, Hashem is ready to dispense justice, because just judgment without loving kindness is too harsh. Go ahead.
Then it does his judgments with Israel, for righteousness and judgment are the foundation of your throne. Understand this. The entire verse reads, righteousness and judgment are the foundation of your throne, but loving kindness and truth greet you first. In other words, once Malchus, God's force of kingship, has been sweetened by its coupling with Zeranpin, it is then qualified to execute God's judgment on earth. Only when righteousness has been tempered with loving kindness can true justice be executed. This is the distinguishing characteristic of the Jewish legal system. This is the end of what I found written down.
Okay. And 38. The bottom line is that ideally, a smooth flow of divine energy is best for the world, and that occurs when we serve Hashem properly. And you see how this whole bracha here to God, it's all carrying this theme that we had from the beginning of the chapter 2 weeks ago and then today. So that is remarkable. So now we finished the book for the second time. This is
Wow.
6 years. We started 6 years ago after Pesach. So it's about 6 years and a month. That took us through the whole book. We have more than 6 years on YouTube. And we have almost everything on YouTube, almost everything in notes. And they're all here. Don't know what's going to become of them.
So
But
did
it's
you guys,
huh?
did you start during COVID? During all the isolation?
The second time?
Yeah.
Yes, the first one was 14 years ago. It was 12 years ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We began 2014. So it's been a great journey, and everyone has stuck with it and stuck with us. And I think that's great. We've had a great, wonderful group that enjoyed learning together. And so next, Rudy suggested a book called Zera Shimshon. I suggested we don't have to go through we don't have to commit ourselves to the whole series. That we can do. I took a thin book. We'll start with this and we'll see how it goes, and maybe after this we'll do something else, and then we'll come back to the next book here. We'll see how this is. Okay, I guess I'll post a link to be able to buy it.
So there's an incentive for learning the Zera Shimshon. Are you aware of the incentive from Rabbi Chaim Naftali, who authored it? So if you look in the opening, I think it's in that book. He was the chief rabbi in Italy of a town, and he got married, and his wife and he had a child, a son, and they lost their son at a very young age. And he's a master Kabbalist, he's a master Talmudist, he's a master psalmist, and he wrote a prayer that anyone who studies the Zera Shimshon and refers it to his colleagues to study will be blessed with opulence, with health, with children, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a big incentive. That's why, the Spartan, the Jews, they love Segulot. So the Zera Shimshon, there's like 150 classes now on YouTube alone. And a lot of people, there's a Rabbi Weinberg, I believe. I don't know. I can't remember now. He's in Israel. He's the one who discovered the whole Zera Shimshon writings many years ago. He had a friend in Israel who had a antiquities bookstore, and he would go to visit his friend every time he went to Israel. And one day when he was there, he asked this Rabbi Weinberg, let's call him that. It's not his name, but I forgot. Have you gotten any new Svarim? Anything I can look at? And he said, yeah, I got these boxes in the back. You can plow through them, take a look. And so he went in the back and he found these Svarim, and it turned out to be from Rabbi Chaim Naftali on the Zera Shimshon. They'd never been published before, and he got them published. Now the Art Scroll has all the writings, and it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Okay,
And
thanks.
so this Rabbi Weinberg, he published a series of books, one on Eshes Chayil, one on Tillim, one on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And part of what he writes in these books is, aside from the teachings of the Zera Shimshon, are actual case studies of Jewish men and women that have studied Zera Shimshon and have written in, telling their stories where they had either some health issue or a problem or something that they were beseeching Hashem for relief, and it happened. So that's an incentive.
Okay, so I'm going to read from what they write in the book about what Rudy said. In an unusual request, Rav Shimshon Chaim asked that people study his Sfarim and promised that those who do so will enjoy great and abundant blessings. Indeed, Zera Shimshon has experienced a resurgence in popularity in recent years. The brilliance of his writings is awe-inspiring. Countless people report they've enjoyed unexpected, indeed miraculous blessings as a result. I also want to point out that here there's a dedication. This volume is dedicated to our unforgettable Rav Meir Scheinberg. And if I'm not mistaken, Rav Scheinberg moved in midlife from Brooklyn to Israel, and he started yeshiva there. And his granddaughter is married to Rabbi Shia Chaitovsky, the son of Moshe and Esther Chaitovsky.
Wow.
Educated right here in Springfield, Massachusetts, center of the universe.
Chaim, thank you for all your teachings.
Thank you, Chaim.
Yeah.